everybody. We have Johnny Love, guitar player, who is in the video game Double Switch. Now, Johnny, tell me how did this come about? You're a rock star. You tour with AC/DC, Dio, all these awesome bands. It's 1993. You're not really a gamer. How did you get cast to be in this video game?
Well, I'm really good friends with Jay Baumgartner. He's my old roommate. He owned NRG Studios, and we had done the AC/DC tour, and Thomas Dolby was cutting his record there, Astronaut and Heretics, and he needed a guitar player, and Jay told him, well, I should get Johnny Love. If you're looking for something, cool, and, Johnny's the shit, kind of a rock edge. He said, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I ended up playing on that record, which, by the way, was only 4 guitar players. Was Jerry Garcia, Bob Weir, Eddie Van Halen, Thomas Goodman Sanchez, and me. So 5 guitar players on that record.
What record? A Thomas Dolby record?
Thomas Dolby record, Astronaut and Heretics.
Okay,
so
cool.
After I did that record for him, I guess that was probably late 92. I don't know. I'd have to go back and see, but chronologically. Anyways, Thomas really liked what I did, and he called me a while after we finished the record and said, listen, I've got this, I'm doing the soundtrack for this new virtual reality game for Sega, and I'm doing the music. Would you like to, do the music with me? I said, sure. He said, there was a couple scenes. He goes, by the way, there's going to be a guitar player in the game. Would you like to do it? I go, well, what's it all about? He goes, well, Deborah Harry, Blondie's going to be in it. And that's all he had to say. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Didn't even say Corey Haim or anybody. He just said Blondie's he just said Blondie's in it. And then when he said that, I said, okay, I'll be the guitar player. I'll do soundtrack with you, and I'll be the guitar player in the game. Just from him saying that. But it turned out to be a full-blown production. We did a soundstage right over at Gower Studios is where we shot it. And it was fun. Corey Haim, starred in it, and it was the very first digitized. It was a full-blown, the budget for this was like shooting a real motion picture. And then they digitized it and turned it into this game. Now, the game is kind of corny. And, I don't think it was meant to be like superior acting, in the game, but it was so cool to do it and beyond, I did some extra stuff and shit back in the 80s. I was an extra in a couple of Molly Ringwald films and some other stuff, and a couple of my friends were actors. I've been to several things, nothing major though, but it was, did I mention they paid really well?
Yeah,
union scale. Thomas paid me union when I was tracking on his record. And I was the only person in the session with him, so I got double scale. Excellent. So I made bank on that, yeah. And then when we got to the first day of the shoot, Brooke was the drummer, and he was in Lost Boys, and him and I just, we're going to be, him and I kind of took over, how are we going to make the band act as a unit in the game and film, just to kind of get our parts together. You'll see a couple things in the game where we're like, we're talking, and we're kind of like, we're supposed to be a little upset with the singer in the game. You know what I'm saying? So, by the way, also I got Chris Barato, my good friend, Matty Barato's brother, bass player. He played with Great White and everything. They needed a bass player too, so I asked Chris if he wanted to come be bass in it. And Chris actually played on the soundtrack with me on the song that we did. And then he just like, I'm on for the ride, Johnny. I just dragged him in, and he got to be the bass player in the game. Very so cool. I had one of my buddies also, I used to live with Maddie and Chris for a couple months in between touring. And so they lived up on the hill right there in Hollywood. And so they're like my brothers, So it was cool to have Chris in the game too. So we shot for about, almost 5 weeks.
Really?
And I was, almost 5 weeks, because they had to do, there was a lot of sets they had to switch around and everything. So I made bank, but this is also just before I was getting married. So I had already scheduled my wedding and everything, and I had to, I couldn't make that day of shoot. So I think at something they were doing a rap the very last day after they wanted to do a group shot with everybody. All my acting in the game was done, but they were doing a huge thing at the very end. You'll see credits in the game. There'll be a picture of all the cast members. They're in the game. Well, that's not me, because I had to go to my wedding, so I told them I can't make that day. So they found a guy with my same stature, put on all the clothes I wore in the game. I let him borrow them, put on the glasses, and dressed him up to look exactly like me, and he's in that last shot.
All right.
So, at my wedding.
That's a Hollywood move right there. Well, hey, you got married. But just to give the listeners and the watchers a background on the game, basically the room, you play from room to room. It's a full motion game. It's the first of its kind for Sega CD. So you click on a room and you get to watch what's going on in there. And you have to watch this video in order to solve this mystery. And so you are basically a band rehearsing in front of a record label executive played by Taylor Negron called Zoo Records. So
God rest his soul. Yeah, Taylor was another great actor, and he was a great guy too. You know, when he was in character, man, he's just like some of the bad guys he's played in movies and stuff, man. I loved him. God rest his soul. He passed away several years ago. But
it's sad because half the cast of this game, I wanted to interview some people, and I tried looking up, like Corey Haim is no longer with us, Brooke McCarter's gone, Erwin Keys, Arlie Ermy, Taylor's not here, and then also the girl who plays in your music video scene, her name's Sonia. She played the Egyptian princess. She died in a stunt gone wrong in an Eddie Murphy movie. She
died as well?
Off a roof.
Oh, Lord. I didn't know that.
1994, yeah. So
I hope I'm not the next one to go.
No, man, they can't kill you, Johnny Love.
Yeah, I know you're going to ask me about the other Corey too. So.
Oh yeah, so let's hear a Corey Haim story from the set. As you know, I'm a big
Corey. Corey was really cool, and like Brooke was managing him, and they knew each other from Lost Boys and everything. So Brooke and I hit it off so well when we were all potheads. So we went into Corey's trailer and we used to smoke tubes at the end of the day and stuff, and have a couple beers. And even Feldman showed up. Corey Feldman showed up 1 or 2 days also, and was kind of like, I felt like I was hanging with like the Lost Boys.
You were. That's awesome.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was very cool, bro. And they were all really good people. No egos, and we were just having a good time and having fun and being kids, basically. Well, they were kids. I was like the older one, but
Right.
But I got to tell you, from doing several big ass tours and then coming back home and doing that was totally unexpected, and I had enough time off to do it, and then I got married also, so so that was a good year.
So tell me about the band Scream, because I don't know if you know this, they re-released Double Switch. They put it out on PlayStation 4, on a PC, and now
are you talking about Karabi's band Scream?
No, okay. Your band in the video game is called Scream.
Okay. My bad. Yeah, that's right. We're called Scream, correct.
Basically, you're rehearsing this song called Tunnel Vision, and that song has found some success online. A lot of people like it. It's a catchy tune. Other bands have covered it, and I don't know if you know this, but they actually, in the re-release bundle pack, they put out the soundtrack on cassette, and then separately, they released the soundtrack on vinyl to Double Switch, and there's a 60-second version of your song on there, Scream, Tunnel Vision.
I didn't know that. You know what? It's so funny. After we get that done, Thomas goes, we should have done the whole song.
I thought, I hit up.
He goes, this is a really good song. And we only did like 2 minutes worth, bro. And they used only enough that they did. It wasn't a complete song.
Right. Yeah, no.
So he even said, now this came out really good. We should have finished it and turned it into a song. But he was working on so much other stuff in the game that he just needed to get that segment done and move on. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
I remember him saying, though, man, this came out really good. And that's him singing. That's Thomas Dolby.
Oh, that's Thomas Dolby singing?
Yes.
So are
Thomas
you
singing?
My next question is, are you really playing guitar in that song, for that song?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
And Chris, the bass player, really played drums. Now, we had another session drummer. I can't remember the cat's name. One of the heavyweight session drummer that Thomas used, and we tracked all live in the studio that day. And then Thomas came back and did the vocals later. But I did all my guitar overdubs and everything. I did the start, and Chris played bass. Brooke McCarter wasn't the drummer, but Brooke was a musician, so he knew how to mimic the drums
Right.
that were recorded, so it looked like he was really playing it when we were playing in the game.
Very.
You know? Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so this limited run games, they put it out. I actually contacted them.
I didn't know they actually. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. I didn't know they put out a song like that. And you need to send that to me, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it on YouTube, but I don't have the vinyl. And basically they did this pre-order like limited edition to like 1,000 copies, and they all sold out. You can find them on eBay and stuff like that. But I hit up the company. I said, "Is this the full song? Do you guys have the full version?" And they said, "No, it's just 60 seconds. That's all we have."
Wow. Yeah. See, that's it.
Incorporate that into your set list. It's a good catchy.
That's it. I know we cut more than 60 seconds, but it was kind of just doing, I think, repeating it twice. Yeah. What we did. And then, so what, you know, if we had written a song, we would have put a bridge in and ending and everything. But, you know, Thomas told me from the beginning, we don't really need a whole lot. So I think we did maybe close to 2 minutes. We'd probably repeat it. So if it was a 60-second sting, we probably did it twice, and we just didn't actually treat the ending like and make it a full arrangement of a song. But that's fun. You told me you've heard of some bands cover it.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, there's a couple people out there that actually are covering it. I'm telling you, it's a catchy tune.
That's hilarious. That makes me laugh. That's funny. I got to check that out.
Yeah, well, in the article, I'll send it to you when it's done. I'm going to put a link in there, so it will have not the cover version, but it will have your version. But have you actually? The game came out in 1993. It's on Sega CD, a Sega Genesis accessory, kind of a short-lived system. But have you ever played this game? Did you buy it when it came out? They give you a copy?
No, I've only watched all the excerpts and everything on YouTube. I've never actually played the game. Although I did play Sega Genesis back then, but I never played that actual game. But my nephew did. My nephew had played it, and he said, "Yeah, it's kind of cool." You know, I mean, it's cool for what it was because it was the first VR thing. You know, right. And with multiple endings and stuff and everything, you chart your own course. That was kind of cool too, you know. But no, I actually haven't. But I wouldn't, you know, if they reissued it, I wouldn't mind getting on it. Is it on the new platforms now?
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, it's on the new platforms, PlayStation 4, the Nintendo Switch, the little handheld one. And actually, they remastered all the footage. You can go on YouTube and watch all the new.
Oh, I bet does it look better?
It looks great. I've never played the game, but you know me, I'm a diehard Haim fan. And so I bought this game as a kid, even though I didn't have Sega CD. I still don't have Sega CD, but it's nice that all the footage.
But you still have the game?
Yeah, I have the game. Oh, yeah, of course.
You got to find the old controller and the old unit.
Right. Well, now you can just watch it. There's like a 3-hour thing on YouTube. There'll be some guy just playing it through. So I don't even have.
Oh, you got to send me these links, bro. You got to, yeah. I know all these tutorials and everything. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So good times.
So what else do you need from me, bro?
Yeah, man. Let's just talk a little bit. So also, you know, you're a big guitar player. You're in that band Love Hate, signed to Columbia Records. You were on the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 soundtrack. Your song Angel. Good jam. How'd that come about? Did you ever party with Freddy Krueger?
No. That we did at NRG, Jay's studio, before he moved to the big studio at his house where I actually lived with him. I was roommates with him for a while. And him and Jeff Roberts, his old partner, they were very big fans of us. Even before we were Love Hate, they were still involved when we were at the end of Data Clan.
Yeah.
So basically, I think we had done that song. Skid had written that when it was very early. It wasn't a Data Clan song. It was an early Love Hate song. And I'm trying to remember. It was our manager, George Swade. He knew Kevin Benson from New Line Cinema. But I take that back. No, this was on Atlantic, Nightmare on Elm Street. We're talking about the other movies we were in. We were in Critters 2 also. That was through Kevin Benson.
You know, I was actually, it says you were on that soundtrack. The song was called Fraulein or something like that?
Fraulein.
Okay, I couldn't find that anywhere. Is
Fraulein.
That a song?
Fraulein. But actually it was Sex Kitty. We changed it. They wanted to change it to Fraulein because Sex Kitty couldn't be used on the movie Critter or something.
Okay,
that's
so
the name of the song was Sex. But Nightmare on Elm Street, that was done through Kevin also. I think it was. Yeah, that was released the soundtrack on Atlantic. On Atlantic. I think that might have been the first thing Kevin did. But then we were on Critters 2. We had a song on there, Fraulein, and then also in Airheads.
Oh, you're an
We had a
Airhead.
song. Oh yeah, we have a song on Airheads. Actually, it's a funny story about that movie. Our song "Let's Rumble" was going to be the actual song in the movie when they actually get into the radio station to play their song.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be the band's tune. They didn't think that Jizzy's voice, that Brandon Fraser could be believable of Jizzy's voice, so they went with another song. But they paid us $30,000 just to use that song because it was going to be the song. So
pretty good.
They paid us a good licensing fee, and they ended up using it because they spent $30,000, so they put like a little snippet somewhere in the movie just because they felt, well, shit, we got to use it now. We spent $30,000 on this sucker.
Absolutely. That's a heavy price. So
yeah.
Now for all the guitar fans out there, I know you got a lot of, guitar buddies that will probably be checking this out. Who are some of your guitar influences? Because I know you're basically like Eddie Van Halen on crack. Like you're like nothing else, man. You get these awesome guitar skills. You're one of my favorite.
Oh, I'm not near as good as Eddie, but he definitely influenced me. But I mean, I'm Eddie's age, and so I was probably influenced like guitar players he was before he broke out. Like Beck, Pete Townsend is one of my all-time heroes. Robert Fripp, Adrian Belew, and then the blues players, But Eddie kind of, when he came out, it was just so blistering new and so exciting and so soulful at the time. Just technique, but soulful, and the tone, and just the whole fucking package that you couldn't help but be influenced by that guy, So my hardest thing was to try to have my own identity and my style. So I will honestly admit I've stolen from everybody. But the hardest thing to do is to try to have your own thing and have a signature, to have your own identity, I guess. And because there's so many, especially nowadays, I see kids on YouTube that are like 8, 9 years old that are just like, Jesus Christ, how can they be that good at that young of an age? And I think a lot of it has to do with the easy access to sources on the internet where there's so much content to where you can, if you're studious and have the drive, you can teach yourself and be an incredible musician in a short amount of time if you put in the work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, everyone's stuck inside. They have plenty of time to practice now.
But my favorite guitar player of all time is Jeff Beck. That guy can, it's not how many notes, how fast you play. It's that guy can hold one note and make me cry. Hendrix, obviously, the whole British wave, and then a lot of it, but Aerosmith, I love, those kind of cats too.
Cool.
But I'd say it's what I call a good guitar player is somebody that has the actual passion and soul, and it's believable. It's not forced. And it's not contrived.
That's right. You got it, man. All you need is soul.
Pretty much.
Right.
Pretty much. If it lacks soul, like a lot of new music does, I just really doesn't excite me. Doesn't touch me, bro.
Yeah. So you were playing Whiskey. You cut your teeth on the Sunset Strip. You got signed to Columbia Records. You toured all these huge headliners. What's next? You still out playing there with Jon E and the Haters in 2021? Can we see you live?
Yeah, Mikey will have me back.
Oh, of course.
We'll see, Jake. We'll see if what happens to the industry, bro. I mean, you're Mr. Whiskey also, and it hurts me to see my brothers and my family not being able to be open and do what they do. You're
definitely an integral part of Love Hate. You think there's going to be a chance for a reunion maybe in the next decade?
Very unlikely.
Oh, that hurts my heart, Johnny.
I know, but what it involves getting done, and I think we're all for alive, but I just think to put the bridge together with all the pieces would be difficult.
Right.
We'll never, especially when one guy lives in the Philippines. The other guy and I don't get along, and the other guy works for Homeland Security and has to fly to China, once every month, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it doesn't sound like a no. It sounds like there's some hope. I like that. You're giving.
I've always been the one that said, never say never. Okay. So if those guys wanted to get on stage and give them one more round, yeah, I'd be there. I'd be the first one to raise my hand.
Excellent.
You know?
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I'll send you this article when it's done. I'll send you those clips too. You can check out.
All right, Jake. I love you, brother. All right, man. Send me those clips. Okay, bro.
Later,
Ciao.
bro. Bye.
Ciao.